This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Oh, we got a busy show today. We got a lot going on. It is changing. It is shuffling. It is evolving by the minute. Oh, but it's going to be good. Loaded up show. It's starting in hour number one. Dan Rosen, senior writer for NHL.com, will join us. The latest on the Stanley Cup final between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Washington Capitals. Caps with a 3-1 victory in game number 3. More on that in just a little bit. Brian Lawton, former NHL player, former NHL general manager, former agent, currently working as an analyst for the NHL Network, will join us as well. Kyle Bukauskas from Sportsnet, who is covering the Stanley Cup final, will be with us. Corey Hirsch, we're squeezing him in. He couldn't make it with us yesterday. We've got him scheduled in for later today. Dr. Patrick Rishi, who is a Forbes contributor and president of Sports Impacts and director of sports business programming and lecturer at Washington University, with a little of the business impact of the Stanley Cup final, ticket demand, and the like. And also coming up, because there's so much going on besides just the Stanley Cup final, Lyle Richardson talking NHL and the other 29 teams, NHL speculation, rumors, trade possibilities, free agents, and much more from Spector's Hockey and the Sporting News. It is a loaded couple of hours ahead on Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Sunday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, all powered by Primetime Radio. Check in with us through our social media streams on Twitter, on Instagram, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. You can check out our Facebook page as well. It is a busy couple of hours ahead because there's a lot going on. There's a lot to get into. And yeah, we'll kind of dive into a lot of what took place over the 3 or so hours of game number 3 between the Washington Capitals and the Vegas Golden Knights. Oh, yeah. Where do you want to start? I don't know. It seemed like everything was going all right and that everything was going for a while. We had to wait the extra day, but then we got to game 3. We got to D.C., and the Caps took a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup final. They did it by controlling the game. The majority of the 60 minutes, it was the Washington Capitals having their way with the Vegas Golden Knights and squelching out any opportunities that the Vegas Golden Knights seemed to have or appeared to have. I got the feeling it was the second period of the game on Saturday night, this series took a decided turn in the direction of the Washington Capitals. And there's some people that are going to like what I'm going to say over the next little while, and there's some people that are not going to like what I'm going to say over the next little while. I know that's kind of a typical episode of Hockey Unfiltered. We like to discuss ideas and opinions. Sometimes they're a bit out there, but there are passionate fans that aren't going to like what I'm going to say. This series is over. The series is over, and the Washington Capitals are going to win. The Washington Capitals are going to win the first championship for their franchise, and I'll tell you something else, it could happen quickly now. I know Caps fans are rejoicing and relishing the thought of that. They had a nice victory on home ice. It's been decades since they had a Stanley Cup game in their own building. Alex Ovechkin playing in his first game at home. They got their first victory at home. Vegas fans aren't going to like this. I think this series could be ending and could be ending quickly. As I watched the game last night, the thing for me that stuck out, and I mentioned it quickly on Twitter last night, but what I seemed to expect all season long at different points, whether it was after the first month or the first couple of months or after the All-Star break or when we got into the playoffs, I expected to see reality set in for the Vegas Golden Knights. We saw it last night, and I think that their fate has now been determined. I know that there's going to be all kinds of argument about momentum not carrying over and things can change quickly and stuff. I get all that. I don't see it happening. I'll go through a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas why, but I don't see it happening. Last night, thing for me that kept sticking out over and over again, what I expected to see all season long finally happened in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final last night. A team with superior talent, more skilled players with elite level talent taking control of a game, and I believe taking control of the series last night. I believe that's what happened last night with the Washington Capitals. That's what I believe took place last night. And I think that could be very bad news for fans of the Vegas Golden Knights. Yes, I think it happened last night. Just watching the game last night, it just seemed to be happening that the Washington Capitals were taking over the series. Superior players, Alex Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, Evgeny Kuznetsov, John Carlson, Braden Holtby. They have a higher level of skill and expertise than many of the Vegas Golden Knights on their roster. We saw this at different points in times through the playoffs. It looked like there might be times where Vegas was going to get overtaken. Teams with an inferior talent pool, and by saying inferior, that's not a slight against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's just, if you stack the lineup side by side, Washington is a more talented and more skilled lineup. Teams that don't have that same level of skill or talent can get by for a period of time and win games and even win series. Last night wasn't just the Caps players being better than Vegas. It was also Vegas playing their worst game of the postseason. Reality seems to be setting in for the Vegas Golden Knights. A lot of the Golden Knights were not prepared for the battle that they were going to endure last night in Washington, and it showed. The Knights were rolled over by the Washington Capitals. And except for that gift giveaway by Braden Holtby when he played the puck out from behind his net right into Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, I believe, right onto the stick of Thomas Nosek, and it winds up in the back of the net. Unless that happens, this game is a shutout. And Washington absolutely had their way with the Vegas Golden Knights. I know momentum can change and things can turn around. I don't see it happening now. In Game 3, the Caps exerted themselves. They were the better team. Vegas didn't have an answer. And that's the second loss in a row. This is a Washington Capitals team that is getting better as the playoffs move on. This is what we've talked about through the first 3 rounds and now into the Stanley Cup final. Teams that improve their performance and level of play as the playoffs go on, they're the ones that are successful. Those that can't are eliminated. I don't think that the Golden Knights are going to be able to come up with a response for the Capitals to win this series. A few notes about the game. Vegas still holds a significant advantage in pregame ceremonies and game presentation as well. Far superior. Not even close. There are some that think it was over the top with the night out on the ice and the flaming arrows and the band and everything, but that's Vegas. It's all about Vegas. It's over the top, and the Caps, boy, did they come up short. The organized event with Sting and Shaggy playing at the Smithsonian, okay, that's fine. These two have a project together that they need to promote, so of course they signed on for it. The pregame in the building by the Caps was very much what we have seen all through the Caps season, starting in October, and it just kind of carried through the same way. Except that we got word that longtime season ticket holder and host of Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak, was going to come out and introduce the starting lineups. All right, he's no Michael Buffer, but I'll play along. That's fine. Well, Pat Sajak came out and was aw shucks and folksy and sucked all the life out of the building that had built up with the music and the lights and the players coming out, and he sucked all the enthusiasm out of the building with his little folksy talk. And then tried to regenerate it with his introduction of the lineups, which he blew stumbling over Braden McNabb's name. Michael Buffer wouldn't do that. It's a great example of how the rest of the league needs to step up their game. Keenan Thompson, okay, that's great. He was in Mighty Ducks and stuff. I don't know, but Pat Sajak was getting roasted on social media, and rightfully so. Fall Out Boys doing the concert before game number 4. That's great. Nothing on game 5 yet. I'm hoping for the Killers. On the game itself, we talked yesterday about Marc-Andre Fleury had to play better if the Knights were going to have a chance to win. He did. Started off right away. The 2-on-1 breakaway from Evgeny Kuznetsov and Alex Ovechkin. Kuznetsov is fine, as we discussed, by the way. Played perhaps his best game of the series. So did Alex Ovechkin. But Marc-Andre Fleury came to play. Made a great stop on that 2-on-1 early on in the game. And at that point, you knew, okay, Marc-Andre Fleury has come to play. It's too bad some of the other Golden Knights didn't. He gave his all through the whole game, tried to push his team forward, gave them every opportunity to win this game. Rest of the Golden Knights were AWOL. 3 goals penetrated the Vegas net. Can't blame Fleury on any of them. Without Marc-Andre Fleury's performance, this is a huge win for Washington. They smoke the Vegas Golden Knights. This was a lopsided game, and the only thing that kept it close was Marc-Andre Fleury. As we discussed as well, who scores the first goal is important. It's proven to be that way in the postseason, but it was vital for the Vegas Golden Knights to score that first goal. We saw in game number 2, the Washington Capitals, even if they get behind, that's all right. They can find a way to come back. They can find a way to come back. And they did in game number 2. They didn't have to in game number 3 because they controlled the game from start to finish, except for the gift goal. Vegas managed only 5 shots on goal in the first period. At that point, you knew they were in trouble. Caps burst out in the second period, got a taste of what the Caps' superior players, superior talent, and determined effort will do. Got them a goal early on in the second period, and it was Alex Ovechkin that scored it. On a series of shots, Fleury makes a couple of glorious saves. It's a frenzy in front of the net. Bodies are flying everywhere. Rebound after rebound after rebound before Alex Ovechkin finally lunges forward and pushes the puck across the line. Marc-Andre Fleury had no chance to stop that. Stopped the first one, tried to knock the puck into the corner. There were more chances, didn't happen. Goal number 2, Shea Theodore, who had a very bad night, breaks his stick and then makes the problem worse by making a bad decision. Instead of retreating, trying to defend, the puck gets pushed by him. Caps have a 2-on-1. Evgeny Kuznetsov surveys his options, decides, I got this. Rips the puck by Fleury. It was a perfect shot. It was an absolutely perfect shot on goal. It's above the pad. It's below the blocker. It goes off the far post and into the net. Whatever injury to his arm, his wrist, his shoulder, whatever it is, he looked fine because he did the big old floppy bird celebration without any issue. And there were more mistakes to come by the Vegas Golden Knights. The only thing they had going for them was the brain fart by Braden Holtby. Plays the puck, it goes off Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Thomas Nosek puts it in the net. A small gift of life. However, that went away a little bit later when Shea Theodore's bad night continues, and he makes, again, a poor choice, a poor decision, makes a bad play. Oh, I got statistics that we can look at and difficulties, but I have a sense that the momentum is rolling in enormous favor of the Washington Capitals, and this series could end quickly. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. A bunch of other things I want to touch on from last night's game. We'll continue to do that and whatever else that we can squeeze in our couple of hours. We are loaded up with guests. Dan Rosen, senior writer from NHL.com, is going to join us in the next segment. Brian Lawton from NHL Network coming up this hour as well. And Kyle Bukauskas from Sportsnet, all coming up this hour, plus much more straight ahead. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. Check us out at hockeyunfiltered.com, on social media at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports on Twitter and Instagram. A loaded, busy show with lots of guests today to give you all the information you're looking for on the Stanley Cup Final, which continues. Game number 4 coming up on Monday. Dan Rosen is the senior writer for NHL.com. He is covering the final. You should be following him on Twitter at DRosenNHL, and he joins us now. Dan, after the game last night, I have a very bad feeling for what's ahead for the Vegas Golden Knights. That was a sensational game that Washington played, and I think Vegas could be in real trouble.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way, Todd. I mean, the way Washington is able to play the last 2 games, really, they've been in control. They've gotten the puck to go where they want it to go. They've been able to force turnovers. Braden Holtby's been good when he's had to be. They've blocked shots. They had 15 in the first period last night, 26 for the game, 18 in game 2. They're winning faceoffs. They're controlling the puck. Lots of things that Vegas has typically done is what Washington is now doing to Vegas, because Washington does those things well too. And the thing about it is Washington slowed them down, and nobody's been able to really slow Vegas down for long stretches of time in these playoffs, because their game is all about speed and puck management. Well, they're slow and they're not managing the puck very well right now. So it does look like they're in a bit of trouble here, especially not just down 2-1, but how these games have played. But I will say, every time we count them out, you know what happens, right?
Yes, that is true. We've seen that through the playoffs, through the regular season, as far back as you want to go in looking at the Vegas Golden Knights. But you're right. This one feels different to me, though, because of the domination that the Washington Capitals have showed. And I really thought that it was a good demonstration of superior talent taking over by the Caps last night.
I agree with you. If you look at some of the chances that Vegas had, some of their best chances that they had, I remember one from Jonathan Marchessault. I don't remember. I think Riley Smith hit the post. I don't remember much from William Karlsson. The James Neal line, the second line was not good, a combined -9. Their biggest chances maybe came from their fourth line. And that's not a recipe for success for the Vegas Golden Knights. They need their fourth line to be effective, but they can't be their best line. And I think that they were last night. Whereas if you look at the key guys for Washington, Alex Ovechkin was all over the ice. He was terrific. Evgeny Kuznetsov was all over the ice. Terrific. Backstrom was good. Oshie was good. The fourth line chipped in. Jay Beagle had 2 assists. Devontae Smith-Pelly had a goal. John Carlson had a terrific game. I think he had a number of hits, 4 block shots, had 6 shots on goal in that neighborhood. Their best players stepped up and were terrific, and their role players stepped up and were good too, whereas we're not seeing that from the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, there's a discrepancy in talent, I believe, in terms of the best players on Washington versus the best players on Vegas, but that's where Vegas needs it all throughout their lineup, and they're not getting it at all from their first, second, and third lines.
Yeah, and that's you're right. James Neal didn't have a shot on goal last night, and William Karlsson didn't have a shot on goal last night, and those are the disturbing things. But I think your point is excellent too. That we haven't seen Vegas be able to play their game. Washington has done something, whether it's through the neutral zone, but we haven't seen Vegas be able to get into the offensive zone to create chances, but also disrupt Washington with that forecheck that we've seen so often.
No, yeah, they haven't been able to get any sustained pressure to do that. It's a one and done right now. I mean, when they get it in, the shots are getting blocked. If the shot isn't getting blocked, it's getting behind them. But the Capitals are getting to the puck first, and they have support, and then it's a quick breakout, and they're getting out of the zone cleanly. It's that extra, and that's what the Golden Knights were talking about last night, how they were a little bit slow on the forecheck, a little bit slow to the puck. They're not as quick as they are. That's Washington being quicker with the puck and getting to it first, and deserves credit for that. But that's how Vegas shows its speed. It's not just that they can outskate everybody; it's that their quickness to the puck is usually very, is strong, and we're just not seeing that. In these last 2 games, especially, we have not seen it. That's not to say they can't figure it out, but to figure it out, they need to be way better through the neutral zone. They're turning the puck over too much, and they need to get shots through and bodies through to Braden Holtby. It's hockey 101 when you think about it, right? How to score in the NHL today is pucks on net, bodies to the net, and you find a way to get to chaos and you get the goal, right? There's no chaos, there's no bodies, there's no goals.
Yeah, and that's what's been Vegas and their recipe for success all season long has been hockey 101, very straightforward approach, and now they've got a short time to figure it out and try to find a way to get back going. We've seen Gerard Gallant make some changes and shuffles to who is in and who is out of his lineup in previous series, and I wondered if we might see that for Game 3 last night, but I definitely think we're going to see it for Game 4. Tomas Tatar perhaps comes in to give them a chance for some more offense.
Yeah, Tomas Tatar perhaps, maybe William Carrier if he's ready to go. He's been injured, but Gallant said the other day that he's getting very, very close to being available. I think you will. I think you're right. I don't think it was the wrong thing for Gerard to do to keep the same lineup for Game 3. It was 1 loss. You don't want to overreact to it. You trust your guys that they haven't lost 2 in a row in the playoffs yet, that they have a bounce back ability to come back and get it done. Now that they've lost 2 in a row and they've really been outplayed, they were outplayed worse in Game 3 than they were in Game 2. Now I think you do see a tweak here or there. It can't be anything major. I mean, they don't have anything major to do here. Basically, he could put Tatar in, he could put Carrier in and make a tweak here and there. But he's gonna the guys that are on that have to do it for them have to be able to do it, and they have to go north. They have to be able to keep the puck through the neutral zone. Washington's doing a great job standing them up at the blue line, creating turnovers there at both blue lines. They're doing a great job, and Vegas just has to be better with the puck as they get through. And I think if they're better with the puck as they get through, it'll give them a chance to get more opportunities in front of the net on Holtby.
Dan Rosen is our guest, senior writer for NHL.com. Follow him on Twitter at DRosenNHL. He's in D.C. covering the Stanley Cup. The Capitals took a 2-1 series lead over the Vegas Golden Knights with a victory on Saturday night. And it seems as though Gerard Gallant is keeping the same approach. And as you mentioned, it's got to be the same guys that get the job done if they're going to do something, that he seems to be challenging his team. It's like, they were better than us tonight. We've got to come back and we've got to be better. It's an approach he's maintained all season long.
Yeah, he can't change it now, right? I mean, this is what's worked for them. They don't have another way. There is no plan B for the Golden Knights. It just doesn't exist. I mean, they've used plan A all year, and it's been effective all year. They have to stick with it. They just have to execute it better and find a way, I think, to frustrate the Capitals a little bit. And the last two games, even though they scored first in Game 2, it didn't ever seem that Washington was flustered. Even Braden Holtby's turnover in Game 3, leading to Nosek's goal. Still plenty of time left, 16 and a half minutes left to go in the game. It's now 2-1. The Caps looked unflappable. They did not look rattled at all. And I think Vegas has to find a way to rattle their cage a little bit.
Kind of like the medicine that Washington used a little bit early on with Marc-Andre Fleury last night.
Yeah, well, but that didn't work because Fleury was great.
Yeah, he was.
He was terrific last night. He did so much for them. And you look at you look at the goals. The Ovechkin goals, the scramble play in front after Fleury makes 3 saves. The Kuznetsov goal is a 3-on-1 rush where a guy makes a shot that only a handful of guys in the league can probably make. He's going away from his body. He's going the opposite way, and he shoots far side low. I mean, what a terrific shot that was after the patience of not, looking and looking and looking for the pass. And then the Smith-Pelly goal, he's wide open in front of a turnover from Shea Theodore. So you can't blame Fleury for any of those goals. I thought he was terrific. The key thing he needs help, and the Capitals are just preventing them from giving it to him.
Yeah, I meant that I didn't say that Marc-Andre Fleury was bad. He was the best player for Vegas last night. I just to try to disrupt what's going on with the Washington Capitals, but they seem absolutely focused on the next accomplishment, which is, okay, we've got to win. Now we've got to win the next one. They're not looking any farther ahead than that.
I've not seen Alex Ovechkin this engaged ever in his NHL career. I almost think to myself, like, if they do get this done, and he'll celebrate, and then he'll sleep for days because the emotion is pouring out of this guy. It's got to be exhausting, right? But he's got so much energy. They're so engaged. Every one of their guys is so focused, and you're right. I mean, the talk around them, it's 20 minutes after the game is over, and it's like, put it behind us, focus on Game 4. That's it. This one's done. We got to focus on Game 4 now. And
yeah,
not fazed by what's happening in the city. And what happened in the city yesterday was magical. I mean, the crowds were electric in and outside the building. The buzz here is unbelievable. They're not fazed by it. They're going home. They're resting. They're recuperating. They're going on the rink. They're skating a little bit. They're going to the game, and they're playing. I mean, they're trying to keep it as normal as possible, and they're doing a really good job of that.
Yeah, and it's working for them so far. Dan Rosen, senior writer for NHL.com, at DRosenNHL, to follow him on Twitter. Dan, we know you're under a time crunch. We thank you for the time. Hope you'll come back again soon. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Absolutely, Todd. Anytime. Take care.
Appreciate it. Dan Rosen, senior writer for NHL.com, with his coverage on the Stanley Cup final. That is a real statement from Dan Rosen, saying, I haven't seen Alex Ovechkin this engaged ever. And to be proceeding through a career that's into its second decade and making your first trip to the Stanley Cup final, he's all in. He's all invested on whatever is necessary to help the Washington Capitals win a Stanley Cup. And that attitude has gone throughout the team. And it just looks like last night was the step in that direction that was taken place by the Washington Capitals. Everybody's along and doing what they can and need to do to be successful. And I'm just not sure that the Vegas Golden Knights have any answers for the Washington Capitals. I think last night not just only tilted the series in favor of the Washington Capitals, but it is hurtling in that direction at breakneck speed and could be over very quickly. Lots more to come on this Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Before the hour is out, Kyle Bukauskas from Sportsnet will join us. In our next segment, Brian Lawton, who's working for the NHL Network as an analyst, will join us. Later on in the program, Corey Hirsch, former NHL goaltender and currently Canucks radio analyst, will talk a little bit about goaltending. Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey and Sporting News will join us as well. And Dr. Patrick Risch, a Forbes contributor and the director of sports business programs at Washington University, with the economic impact of the Stanley Cup final. That and much more all ahead. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
It's the Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here Saturdays and Sundays, beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. HockeyUnfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. Loaded program today with lots of guests to get to. Sportsnet's Kyle Bukauskas will join us later on in the program. Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey and Sporting News. Corey Hirsch, former NHL goaltender, Vancouver Canucks analyst. We'll talk a little goaltending, that and much more all ahead. Happy to welcome back the man who has been a player. He's been an agent. He's been a general manager, currently working now at the NHL Network as an analyst. They'll be on site for the daily show that will occur from Washington. Follow him on Twitter at Brian Lawton9, and Brian Lawton joins us now. Brian, good to have you back again. I felt a real shift in the series last night with the Washington Capitals and a dominant victory. Tell me what your observations were of game number 3.
Well, clearly that was the case. Obviously, whenever you get into these playoffs, the fun thing is that, you know, one night you might get your heart ripped out and you're devastated, and the next night or a couple of nights later, in this case, who knows for Vegas? They may feel like they're on top of the world. It's those types of emotions, obviously, that make the finals so interesting. Washington was dominant last night for me. They did a lot of things right, particularly the way they were able to kind of change their schemes up a little bit. I felt like it confused Vegas. They didn't look like themselves offensively. They didn't have much. I thought Marc-Andre Fleury played really well. But this night was really all about Alex Ovechkin, in my opinion, and Evgeny Kuznetsov. Those two were dominant for the Capitals.
Yeah, it seemed as though it was the players with the most talent, Kuznetsov and Alex Ovechkin, who decided they were going to use their talents to their full capability, and Vegas just didn't have an answer for them on Saturday in game number 3.
No, they didn't. Ovi was a beast. He came out, did everything in his path. He put up 8 shot attempts in the first period, which is hard to believe, but that's a career high for him, and what a great time to do it. Kuznetsov, on the other hand, he took some abuse early as far as Vegas trying to target him a little bit. Didn't slow him down. He hung in there. He proved that whatever his injury was, not something that's going to prevent him from using that high skill level. He scored a beautiful goal, had an assist, just made a lot of smart plays, exactly what we saw from him all year long. 83 points. This guy's on fire right now.
Yeah, and he gave some of the abuse back at the odd time too, to help create a little room for himself, I think. But what did you notice that Washington did differently that frustrated the Vegas Golden Knights from your observations in the game?
I think one of the big changes that Washington has made, and I credit their video scouting coordinator, Barry Trotz, is that a lot of teams have tried to get in on Vegas on the forecheck and really try to apply pressure with a 2 or 3 man forecheck at times. Washington is really just sending one player with light pressure, and it's almost forcing Vegas to have to handle the puck in their D zone more. They don't have the most skilled D-core, other than Shea Theodore, maybe Nate Schmidt. The rest of the guys want to move it quickly, and their favorite play has been off the boards and out, or off the glass out into the neutral zone. And really, Washington is just waiting for that and transitioning very quickly back on them. And quite frankly, they're in a better position to transition or to have more success when they're reacquiring pucks that way, because the Vegas D are having a hard time getting back up the ice to close gaps. When Vegas is playing well, they pressure you in all 3 zones. They take away time and space. They have great sticks. We just haven't seen much of that. This has been a little bit of the flipping of the script on Vegas. The good news is, I think most of those things are correctable, and I think we'll see Gerard go on, get his team reorganized, and we're going to see a great effort from them in Game 4.
Brian Lawton is our guest, covering the Stanley Cup Final for NHL Network. At Brian Lawton 9 is how you follow him on Twitter. Okay, so let's put you into that position. How do the Vegas Golden Knights approach what Washington is presenting to them, and how do you try to counter that, as opposed to flipping it up off the boards or off the glass and having it land in the neutral zone? Do you have to skate the puck out, or what's the process for Vegas now?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, because they have played so much north-south hockey all year long. It's been a strength of theirs. But really, if you want to go back to the coach that I think does it better than anybody in the National Hockey League, and didn't have a lot of success with it with Montreal this year, but Claude Julien, when he has good teams, has been really successful, and not necessarily playing so north-south. He will not only play more east-west, but he will completely reverse the puck back. When you only have one forechecker with light pressure, it's easy to really beat him just moving the puck side to side. It may take you 1 or 2 times, and it's really uncomfortable for your team if they haven't played that way a lot. But I believe that Vegas can easily adjust that. They'll come up the ice more structured. They won't have the guys out of sync, so to speak, because Vegas likes to get back, bank it off the glass, fly guys, just race for loose pucks. Well, now they're going to have to retrain themselves. These guys are smart. They'll be able to do it quickly, I think, and they'll have more success. It'll level out the constant pressure that Washington was able to apply, and it'll give Vegas a chance to get back on their game.
Would that be similar to how you would operate on a power play when the defending team is a little more passive? They might send one forechecker in, but they keep the rest of the players back. Would you have to exit your zone and try to move up the ice in a similar fashion sometimes?
That would be one way to approach it, although you won't see it to the level where the late guy is so far back that they'll kick the puck back 20, 30 feet like we see so often now on power play breakouts. But that's the basic concept. The players have to get comfortable to do that. And the most important thing is when they do get the neutral zone. And the reason it's not working is because Washington has so many people stacked up in the neutral zone that there's no element of surprise. Vegas all year long has accepted that they're going to get heavy pressure on their D because their D is not considered overly skilled. Everybody said, get in and get on them. We'll get these guys to turn pucks over. Well, nobody's been able to do that. LA wasn't. San Jose had a little success, but obviously not a lot as they fell in the second round to them. And Winnipeg had absolutely none. They just could not get in on the pressure, and it really cost them in the series. So this is going to be a challenge for Vegas, but I think once they recognize that that pressure is not there, that everybody's waiting in the neutral zone, stop shooting it up the ice to them and allowing Washington to transition, the game is going to go a lot smoother for them. Now, I expect Washington will counter that with their own maneuvers, but that's the fun part of this time of year is you really get to see what guys can make in-game adjustments.
Brian Lawton is with us covering the Stanley Cup Final for NHL Network at Brian Lawton 9 to follow him on Twitter. Does it surprise you a little bit, Brian, that we're talking about the Washington Capitals and taking a lead in the Stanley Cup Final and maybe eventually moving on and winning the Stanley Cup? And we're not talking about offense. We're talking about the defense and the structure and the discipline that they've used to have this success so far?
No, I don't think so, because if you go back to the, not so much Columbus, but certainly in the Pittsburgh series, very dynamic offensive team. They didn't beat them because they were better offensively. They beat them, quite frankly, because they were better defensively. You move on to the Tampa series, a team that's just loaded for bear as well. They didn't really have the success. They got shut out the last two games of the series. It's been the defensive structure that's the backbone of this Washington Capitals team. And to me, that is one of the big differences why they're significantly different today. The other one is they really have handled adversity well. And it's just not something that we're accustomed to saying about Washington Capital teams. In the past, they haven't handled adversity well. Now they look a lot more mentally tough than I've ever seen them, and it's really boded well for them. The other thing that's been a massive change, in my opinion, for the Washington Capitals, Alex Ovechkin, the quality of the minutes that he is giving them right now are through the roof. He's always given them really great play, but at times I felt like he played too much in the past, and at times I felt like he was such a powerful player in that organization that you couldn't not play him. Right now, he's been an absolute world beater. He's accepted the fact that, like last night, I might be fifth in ice time amongst the forwards, but when I'm on the ice, I'm going to make a difference. And the end result has been winning, and it looks like it fits Ovi really well. He looks to me like a guy that could care less if he leads the team in ice time amongst forwards. All he wants to do right now is win a Stanley Cup championship, and I never really had those thoughts in the past about him.
Is part of where the Capitals are today because of that adversity that they have sustained in the last 2 years, especially losing to Pittsburgh?
I absolutely think that you have to learn, but the learning curve for Washington just felt like it went on forever. Some of the abuse that Alex Ovechkin has taken over the years, the narrative about him not wanting to win and things like that, I don't think that's been accurate. All you have to do is look at a guy like Steve Yzerman. I mean, he won a Stanley Cup in his 14th year. Now, that's all forgotten because he went on and continued to have tremendous success. There's no reason why that can't be Alex Ovechkin. But by no means is this series over. I expect Vegas, quite frankly, to win on Monday night. And this series is still up for grabs. I thought it would be a 7-game series. I haven't seen anything that's going to change my mind other than the Capitals have played better to this point than I thought they would have.
Wow, really? All right. That's interesting. Brian Lawton working with NHL Network covering the Stanley Cup Final. He'll be on set for their show this evening, plus pre- and post-game coverage after game number 4. At Brian Lawton 9 is how you follow him on Twitter. Brian, thanks for this. Some really good insight. Appreciate the time.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
Brian Lawton, working with NHL Network. I am not as confident as Brian Lawton in the Vegas Golden Knights. What I have seen in the last couple of games, especially in game number 3, was the elite level talent of the Washington Capitals exerting their force. Now, that's not to say Vegas is going to roll over and say, go ahead, here, take the Stanley Cup. That's no problem. I just don't know if they have the answer for the Washington Capitals. I haven't seen any evidence that would give me reason for optimism in this series for Vegas to be able to come back and win this series. And I also believe the momentum that Washington feels and the understanding of where they are and the comprehension of the situation is so great that they're not going to let Vegas happen that, and it could be a series that ends after 2 more games. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. You can comment through our Facebook page as well. But as we go up to the top of the hour, Kyle Bukauskas from Sportsnet will join us. He's covering the Stanley Cup Final as well, and lots more ahead in hour number 2 of our Sunday program as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues. Hour number 2 is loaded up as well. Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey will join us. Corey Hirsch, former NHL goaltender, goalie coach, Canucks analyst, will join us. Dr. Patrick Risch as well, talking the economic impact of the Stanley Cup Final, ticket prices, and much more. Happy to welcome back our friend from Sportsnet who is covering the Stanley Cup Final. You can follow him on Twitter at SN Kyle Bukauskas, and he joins us now. Kyle, did you feel a big shift in the momentum of this series to the Washington Capitals last night and that dominating victory over the Vegas Golden Knights?
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit, Todd. I'm not sold on the momentum in a series carrying over from game to game, but it certainly started to cast that little seed of doubt, I think, if you're a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights, didn't it? I mean, the way they played really for the last 2 games here after that wild game 1 to start the Cup Final. I mean, this has been the Capitals' MO throughout these playoffs. We saw it in the Eastern Conference Final against Tampa, and here against Vegas, a team that likes to play fast, a team that likes to generate on transition, that likes to come at you with speed and move the puck quickly, and they've completely isolated everything that's made the Golden Knights successful all season long, and it's really quite fascinating to watch. And you've got a team looking around now, much like Tampa did, kind of wondering, well, why don't we look like ourselves here? Why aren't we playing the same way we were up until this point? And it's been just a terrific effort from the Capitals defensively, and you're sucking some life out of your opponents when you do that, and then you're on the other end, your stars are delivering. And it was, very Trotz yesterday saying that it was fitting. It was almost poetic justice, if you will, finally getting this first game here at home in the Stanley Cup Final. Alex Ovechkin waited 13 seasons for this moment. He scores the game's first goal. A bit of drama with Evgeny Kuznetsov wondering if he was going to be able to play after the injury in Game 2. He ends up scoring what winds up being the game winner, does the big flapping bird celebration, and the whole place goes nuts. It was a pretty special night here in Washington last night. So, yeah, if you're all about the momentum carrying over from game to game, I think there could be a little bit of it there, but I just think Washington is playing at a level right now that it's going to take something special from Vegas here now to try to counteract it, because this is two games where they've been left wondering, why haven't we been able to generate the same kind of offense we have at earlier times throughout this season and these playoffs? And full credit to Washington for how they've done it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I'm with you. I don't know that momentum carries from game to game. Washington's playing better. They have a more talented roster, and that talent is performing at a very high level. And I'm just not sure what Vegas can do to try to answer and respond to that, because anything that they have tried in the last two games, other than Braden Holtby gifting them a puck last night, has not wound up in the net, and they've been frustrated with only 22 shots on goal last night.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. You look at the stat sheet at the end of the game, and it says only 22 shots on goal, and you wonder, well, geez, they weren't able to get anything. You wonder if they had any kind of attack, any kind of sustained pressure going in the offensive zone. They had plenty of chances. I mean, there were some times early in the game where there was some passes that were missed. You think of the 2-on-1 where the centering pass went right through the stick of Riley Smith. Ryan Reeves was alone in front with a pass coming from behind the net, and it kind of jammed him. And with the pass coming too far inside, he wasn't able to get a stick on it for his release. But, 22 shots on goal. They had 62 shot attempts throughout Game 3 last night, Todd. And I think, part of it was on them for not being able to hit the net. But it just seemed like anytime they were in any kind of prime spot to put forth a good scoring chance, the Capitals were there. They were blocking shots. We saw a couple from Ovechkin and the rest of the game. They were getting sticks in the way. They were deflecting it over the net and out of harm's way for Braden Holtby. I mean, it's just been a total commitment to defense for the Capitals, and the way they clog things up in the middle of the ice, in their own zone, in the neutral zone. And for Vegas, it's going to be a real interesting video session here today and likely again tomorrow morning, and trying to figure out how they're going to bust through. Tampa eventually found a little bit of success in that Eastern Conference Final, but at the end of the day, they were shut out the last two games of that series, and now Vegas is left to wonder what they have to get going. I mean, Jonathan Marchessault did about everything he could to try to score last night, but he couldn't get anything going, and as you said, the only time they put one in the back of the net was at the defense of a Braden Holtby blunder, because he otherwise was brilliant again yesterday evening. So it's going to be an interesting game here coming up in Game 4. It's all about adjustments, I guess, at this time of the year, and a little bit here, a little bit there. But it seems like for Vegas, the question is, how do we get more going? Because anything they have tried to do 5-on-5 on the power play, Washington has had an answer these last two games.
Sportsnet's Kyle Bukauskas is our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at SN Kyle Bukauskas, covering the Stanley Cup Final for Sportsnet. It's funny, we're talking about Alex Ovechkin, tremendous talent, goal scorer. Evgeny Kuznetsov scored the game-winning goal last night on an absolutely beautiful shot, and Devontae Smith-Pelly's goal was no slouch either. So much offense and talent and ability. Nick Backstrom is a beautiful passer, and you followed the Caps through the playoffs over the last little while, and you're talking about defense as being their reason for their success. That and focus on the attention to detail, I think.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why we're sitting here now, and the Capitals appear to be in the driver's seat a little bit now, up 2-1, and only 2 wins away from their first Stanley Cup championship in franchise history, because defensively, as we've talked about, they've been so good, but
on the other side of the ice, their stars have delivered. Evgeny Kuznetsov is the leading scorer in these playoffs here now, and up until he got hurt in Game 2, he had an 11-game point streak going into that game. And, maybe if he didn't get hurt, he could have found a way to get on the board again in Game 2, because he was scoring there last night and getting the game winner in Game 3 and helping them get out to a 2-1 the series lead here now. And then you mentioned it. I mean, the rest of the cast of characters. I mean, Andre Burakovsky, you look back at the Eastern Conference Final, he was so hard on himself after not playing, being a healthy scratch in Game 5 and saying, he's gone out and hired a sports psychologist to help work with him because of how hard he is on himself mentally. He ends up scoring 2 goals in Game 7 down in Tampa. And Devontae Smith-Pelly now has 5 goals in these playoffs. And for a guy that was bought out by New Jersey a year ago and was trying to find somewhere to find his footing once again in the National Hockey League, he comes to Washington and, has moved up and down and in and out of the lineup at times throughout the year. But he has been a perfect fit down on that fourth line for Washington, has been able to contribute at times too. You need everyone going at this time of the year, and that's, of course, the old cliche when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I think the big thing for them is that their stars are delivering, and even when there's been injuries along the way with Backstrom, Kuznetsov missing time in Game 2, and you go down the list from there. Other guys have stepped up, from Lars Eller, and you go down the list from there. So this is a team that has finally got over that hump of getting past the second round. And I thought it was interesting the other day, Barry Trotz saying, if you keep getting pushed down, you're still willing to get up after it, you eventually realize how close you are. And for the Capitals, they got through Pittsburgh. Everyone wondered, were they going to drop off after that? Was that going to be their Stanley Cup? Apparently, they're going after the real one here still now, with 2 wins shy of winning it all here. And it's been a pretty impressive run for this team. And the city, the way they've embraced them, it's been really neat to watch.
Yeah, it's something else. Kyle Bukauskas from Sportsnet, who is covering the Stanley Cup Final, at SN Kyle Bukauskas, to follow him on Twitter. Hey, just before I let you go in a couple of seconds, Kyle, are you available to do the player intros for game number 4? I don't think they're going to have Pat Sajak back after he booted Braden McNabb's name.
Yeah, exactly. All I know is I have less time than he. I would get through it quicker.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for this, Kyle. Enjoy DC, and we'll talk to you soon. That's Kyle Bukauskas from Sportsnet. Yeah, that was a bit of an embarrassing blunder by Pat Sajak, who was proud to announce on Twitter and was proud to announce that, yes, he is going to be doing the player introductions for game number 3. I suspect that they'll just move that along and they'll skip that part. They didn't do the big Michael Buffer player introductions for game 2 the way in Vegas, and I don't suspect they're asking Pat Sajak back for game number 4 as well. That part of the process went a little bit quicker in game number 2. I'm okay with doing it. We see it at all major sporting events in the final when you're at the World Series or the Super Bowl. They introduce the starting lineups. That's great, but you got to get the names right. That's an important part of it, I believe. Everybody makes mistakes, I know, but that's why you have it written down in front of you. That's why you rehearse and stuff. At this point, you can't be making mistakes like that. I don't know. DC's got to up their game from the start and the pregame presentation. Wasn't nearly as good as what we saw in Vegas in games 1 and 2. That's a spectacular show. Not expecting the same thing in Washington. I don't know. You have a bunch of congressmen stand around and do nothing. I mean, that would be kind of a funny, playful thing. That's what happens a lot in the city. It reflects the personality of the city. I don't know, but you gotta do better than that. We get into a whole bunch of other things involving the Stanley Cup Final, Vegas Golden Knights, Washington Capitals, and other things NHL in hour number 2. Going to be a busy one straight ahead. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with much more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Oh, busy hour number 2 coming up. We're loaded up with guests today. Got all angles of the Stanley Cup final covered and much more. Everything else that's going on in the National Hockey League as well. Because there's 29 other teams that are trying to get to the Stanley Cup final for next year. The Combine's going on. People are looking at trades and free agents. We'll dive into that and a whole bunch more. Coming up in hour number 2 of the Sunday program, Corey Hirsch will join us. We hope to have him yesterday. We got him today. He's going to talk a little goaltending. Braden Holtby's been good. Marc-Andre Fleury, I thought, played really well in game number 3. It's unfortunate none of his teammates showed up to join him. Also coming up in hour number 2, Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey and Sporting News will join us. We'll talk about some of the other teams in the NHL. And Dr. Patrick Risch, who is a Forbes contributor and the director of the sports business program at Washington University, will talk a little financial impact of the Stanley Cup final and just what it costs to get in to see one of these games. It's a couple of dollars, but fans are paying it. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. We're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, all powered by Primetime Radio. Don't forget to check out our podcasts as well. You can subscribe through iTunes and iHeartRadio. They're available on our website and through the Hockey Unfiltered app, including our midweek podcast. We've called it the Little Saturday Podcast. It's a little hockey talk in the middle of the week. It's a little weekend in the middle of the week, which is why we called it the Little Saturday Podcast. And Saturday night in D.C., it was game number 3 of the Stanley Cup final, and it was the Washington Capitals scoring a 3-1 victory in the game in dominating fashion. Washington Capitals owned every aspect of game number 3 against the Vegas Golden Knights. First time Vegas has lost back-to-back games. I saw that tweet last night and sent out the reply, it's about to happen. Superior talent, superior skill, and execution coming to the forefront for the Washington Capitals. Their best players showed why they are superior to those of the Vegas Golden Knights. They have more talent, they have more skill, and they executed it. I don't know that Vegas has an answer. And as I said in hour number 1, I know a lot of Vegas people aren't going to like it, but I think this series might be ending kind of quickly now. As mentioned, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to get into this hour. We'll get into more of game number 3 in a second. I want to welcome our next guest, though, Corey Hirsch, former NHL goaltender, goalie coach, Canucks radio analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Corey Hirsch, and he joins us now. I'm glad we got you because I want to talk a little goaltending, and I think both goaltenders in the Stanley Cup final have played very well, and I really felt for Marc-Andre Fleury on Saturday night because I thought he played well, but his teammates didn't really help him out.
Well, you're right. I thought he was great. That score could have been 8-1, right? I mean, backdoor saves and some glove saves. I was like, really? Did that just happen? A couple saves on Ovechkin too. And he's been dominant. He's been dominant all playoffs. I didn't really like him that much in games 1 and 2. I thought he was just okay, but last night he was lights out. That score could have easily been turned the other way. And even with Holtby, like what I love about Holtby is here's a guy that took a lot of heat at the start of the playoffs, didn't start games 1 or 2, and he's just said, you know what, he didn't crumble. He's come out and he's like motivated him. It lit a fire under him. So it's pretty cool to see for him too.
Yeah, it is. I thought, and I agree with you, that I didn't think Marc-Andre Fleury was outstanding in games number 2. I thought he had played okay, but I mean the bar had been set so high in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. But last night, as soon as that 2-on-1 happened and he made the great save on Ovechkin, it's like, all right, he's here to play tonight, and you saw it for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it just wasn't that ridiculous. And then a couple of even the goal Ovechkin scored. NBC did a great job of showing the highlight on it and how many he made, like 5 saves before they put the puck in the net. Yeah, give him some help there. But did you not and did you not feel like last night's game though, in the same sense that Washington finally made Vegas look like an expansion team? Like nobody has been able to do that. And then I thought last night they finally looked like a team of second and third line players. They just didn't. They looked very down to earth last night. I thought was kind of how it went in that hockey game.
I agree with you, and that the Washington Capitals roster is superior. They have superior talent, whether it's Kuznetsov or whether it's Ovechkin or whether it's John Carlson on defense or Nick Backstrom, who you almost forget about because he's such a quiet and unassuming guy. And Vegas has no answer for that. And I'm not sure that Vegas is going to find an answer in the next 2 games either. I think the series could end really quickly now.
And I was thinking the same thing, but then part of me in the back of my head is going, this Vegas team seems to always find a way, just when we think they're down and out and they're done and they're going to come right. That's the one thing they've done all year. But you're right, they may have met their match. I think Washington's playing a pretty smart team game. They're playing very physical against Vegas. Like some of the hits out there, man, there's some huge hits. And even, Neal's hit, there's been, and Washington came back and answered that with him, right? Like they're not letting Vegas push them around at all. Like it seems the other way. It seems like Washington's kind of just trying to roll right over them. I thought last night's game they did a good job of dominating in almost every area and every aspect of the game.
I'm glad you mentioned the James Neal hit on Brooks Orpik. Did you have any issues or problems with that? Because I didn't think it was a bad hit at all. I thought James Neal saw him coming and reacted accordingly. He didn't hit him in the head. It was a full body hit.
I think so too, and I like it in the sense that somebody can get hurt, but I mean when you're going to get hit, like Neal could have got hurt, right? So it could have gone. So it's like you're trying to protect yourself and. I don't see a problem with it at all. It's almost a self-defense mechanism in a way, right? I mean, some guys come to crush you, and it obviously hurt. But how can you penalize a guy for that when he's just kind of you're defending yourself in the sense that I'm going to hit you instead of you hit me first, right? I didn't have a problem with it. It could in the future be something that could be deemed as dangerous, but there was no head hit. There was nothing. I mean, if Orpik wants to hit Neal, you got to be ready to be able to take that back too, right? You better be ready to get hit back. So I agree with you there. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's part of the game. But I do give Washington credit. They went right after him, and it was kind of like team toughness, right? I mean that's how they've dealt with that.
Yeah, it's the obligatory scrum after the play does come to a conclusion, and especially whether you've seen the play or not, whether one of your teammates is not doing well on the ice, and of course everyone is going to come after him. Don't get me started on what should or shouldn't be called, because I think the referees have been terrible. But I want to ask you about the atmosphere of Washington and Braden Holtby. You mentioned earlier that he started the playoffs on the bench, got in, and has found himself and found this groove. He's been inconsistent through so much of the season, but really seems to have found the confidence. How much does he gather from making what has been dubbed the save in game number 2 against Alex Tuck, and can you use that to build on moving forward?
Oh, well, that was ridiculous. I'm not sure who got interviewed last night. I don't think it was. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, I watched an interview on NBC with Boucher. They talked about Braden Holtby, and what his teammate said is that Braden Holtby has bailed us out so many times that after that first goal that they scored last night on him, they felt like they owed Braden Holtby, to win that hockey game for him. And it just, to me, that was like, that just shows you a lot of respect that they have for his teammate and him as a guy, that they know that he made that save. That was ridiculous. If Vegas scores, if Tuck scores on that goal, we're talking about a completely different series right now. They go to overtime, and who knows what could have happened. But I just thought it was really cool that his teammate would mention that, the fact that they went out there to play and to win that for him after that goal. But for me, it was sitting out in games 1 and 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's embarrassing for Braden Holtby, and he's taken it and he's run with it since then.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be pleased about it at the time, but he's channeled that energy in the right direction. Corey Hirsch is our guest, former NHL goaltender, goalie coach, analyst for Sportsnet. At Corey Hirsch is how you follow him on Twitter. So the other thing that catches me about the Capitals is superior skill level, superior roster of talent, but also they are focused on the task at hand. They're not thinking far ahead. It's like we did well, we had a good win, now we got to enjoy it for 10 minutes, and we immediately start getting ready for game number 4, the next one. And that's something that seems to have been missing a little bit from the Capitals teams in the past when they haven't had success in the postseason.
Well, and when we played them at the start of the year in Vancouver, and I was like, this team is lifeless. Like, they really didn't. I thought they were going to go the other way. I really did. But that was early in the season. But they've seemed to, then that's where Trotz is such a good coach and a good motivator, and why he's been able to last as long as he has in the game as a head coach and what he's done. So I give him a lot of credit and their coaching staff for being able to have this team believe after getting knocked out so many years in a row, right? But if Vegas won the Stanley Cup or Washington won the Stanley Cup, I wouldn't be disappointed either way. Like, I would love to see Ovechkin get a cup. I'd love to see Vegas get a cup. So it's kind of a feel-good series in a way, but I'm loving watching the battle. Like, it was dangerous out there sometimes. I thought, like you said, the officiating I wasn't really happy with, because there's some cheap stuff going on that didn't get called, and then a little hook would get called, right? So, but that's the way it is, and you just got to enjoy the game for what it is.
Yeah, that's fair. But is there something that you've seen, something that you've noticed, something that you've picked on is that is going to be key for Vegas to try to turn things around in the other direction, to get something going? Because Washington had them in every aspect of the game in number 3.
They did, and you know what it is for me? It's their number 1 line, Marchessault, Carlson, and Smith. I think Washington's being really physical on them. And they've kind of gone perimeter. So Carlson, I don't see him getting in, as close. And I don't see them being able to make the plays that they're making. And I saw Vegas, a lot of missed net shots, like opportunities that I thought where they could score, and they missed the net. Right? You have to hit the net. There's no question about that. So for me, that number 1 line of Vegas has to get. They have to find a way to either get Jordan Galant's going to have to find a way to get them away from those matchups, or they're going to have to get a little bit more gritty, or maybe change up that first line. Throw Ryan Reeves on there for a shift or two. You don't have to throw him out there for the whole game, but just get something where it creates a little bit of space for those guys and pushes Washington back a little bit on their heels.
Corey Hirsch, Vancouver Canucks radio analyst, former NHL goaltender, goalie coach, mental health advocate. That's why we love him. At Corey Hirsch is how you follow him on Twitter. Good stuff today, Corey. Glad we were able to catch up, and we'll definitely do this again soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you. Anytime.
Appreciate it. Corey Hirsch, former NHL goalie and working as the Vancouver Canucks radio analyst. I just thought that the series shifted in game number 3. Yes, Washington had a nice win on the road in Vegas in game number 2. Last night, it was all Washington over the Vegas Golden Knights. 22 shots for Vegas. They managed 5 in the first period. They had a total of 13, I believe, after the second period. Washington won in all aspects. What I saw last night was what I had been expecting to see at various points all through the season. Superior talent, superior roster, imposing their will, executing at a higher level, and Vegas just not able to answer. We've had a few comments come through on our Facebook page and on our Facebook stream that it's just a reminder the series is only 2-1. You're right, it is. But last night was a telling moment in the series. Yes, I believe players forget about what happened in the previous game. But you can't deny what happened in the previous game. And Washington was a far better team. They were the better team in game number 2 and got the win, and they were a far better team in game number 3. They have been getting better as the postseason moves along. A key to success for playoff teams if you're going to continue to move forward. William Karlsson, 0 shots on goal. James Neal, 0 shots on goal for the Vegas Golden Knights last night. As Corey Hirsch was just telling us, you got to hit the net. Doesn't that just drive you crazy? Your team comes in, you think they've got a chance, and the player misses the net. They don't even force the goaltender to make a save. Makes me crazy every time I see that. If you want to weigh in via Twitter, via Instagram, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, you can comment through our Facebook page as well. Lots to get to in this hour. Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey will join us in the next segment. We'll talk about some of the other teams in the NHL as well who are busy looking to get back to the postseason and into the Stanley Cup final. Dr. Patrick Risk also coming up in this hour. We'll talk about the financial part of the Stanley Cup final. Oh, yeah, a little more on the pregame, which was kind of lacking last night. That wasn't no show compared to what Vegas put up. We'll get into that and a few other things from game number 3 and look ahead to game number 4. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with much more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Welcome back. It's the Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. It's at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live through the Hockey Unfiltered app, available now for download at the App Store, all powered by Primetime Radio. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handle. Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey coming up. We'll talk about some of the upcoming unrestricted free agents who will be looking for new contracts, some of the other teams and what they have in mind through the offseason. The NHL draft is only a few weeks away and hoping to return to the Stanley Cup playoffs, plus lots more on the Stanley Cup final. Game number 3 on Saturday, game number 4 to take place on Monday. It's the Caps with a 2-1 series lead. Ticket prices have been significant for those trying to get into the Stanley Cup final, whether it is in Vegas or now that the scene has shifted to DC. Dr. Patrick Risch is a Forbes contributor and also the director of the sports business program at Washington University, and he joins us now. Patrick, thank you for the time on short notice on Sunday morning. Is this a surprise to you that we've seen significant demand for tickets and those wanting to spend significant dollars to make it into the Stanley Cup final?
Not at all. Thanks for having me on. I mean, the issue that's going on here is you have two franchises that have never won the Stanley Cup. Obviously, the Golden Knights, with their amazing run this year. Ironically, as I speak to you from St. Louis, the last NHL expansion team that made the Stanley Cup Finals were the 67-68 St. Louis Blues. So some interesting symmetries there, at least for me personally. And obviously the Capitals have only been to the Stanley Cup Finals once before 20 years ago. So not surprising to see these prices. Again, yesterday when I looked at this, the buy-in, the minimum price for Game 4, it's $800 on Monday night. And in Vegas, for a potential Game 7, which after the way last night's game went down, I don't know if we're going to get to a Game 7, but the buy-in price for Game 7 is over $1,200.
Wow. That's a serious dollar. And it seems as though you can ask for those dollars if there is a demand. And I guess it's surprising to me, because maybe that's just a little out of my price range, but it's surprising to me that there is that kind of demand for fans that are so anxious to see their team in person.
Well, what's interesting is I've done some research more generally as it relates to just pent-up demand. And for instance, if you look at the college football bowl season, sometimes when you have a school that maybe hasn't made it to a particular game in a long time and it's a big bowl game, that all of a sudden that particular year the secondary ticket prices will go up tremendously. So for example, when Michigan State made their first Rose Bowl in over 25 years, a couple of years ago, the Rose Bowl tickets that year were extremely expensive because the demand from the Michigan State fans drove the overall price of those secondary prices up. So, clearly in this case, you've got, Capitals fans that have been fans for years, but have never quite seen them get over the final hump. And there's going to be tremendous pent-up demand there. And as I said, in Vegas, it's the first time that, first year of the franchise, obviously, and boy, what a story it would be if they were able to somehow, kind of close the deal.
Yeah, and how does this compare to some other sports, and what's the impact of capacity? I mean, you have 19,000 tickets depending on the venue. So I guess that's the other part of it, is that there is only so much demand, and maybe it's not quite as deep in bigger buildings.
For sure. So part of the story that I posted yesterday, since it's going on concurrently, is I wanted to look at the NBA Finals. The hockey arenas that we're playing in for both in Vegas and Washington are slightly smaller than the Oracle, where the Warriors play, and in Cleveland, where the Cavaliers play. But it's not that big of a difference. So even though you're correct that capacity can have an impact, I think the differential in the capacities of these facilities are not that great. But what I noticed is when you look at the NBA Finals, it is really glaring to see how much less the secondary buy-in price is for these games. So for instance, tonight as of yesterday, the buy-in price for tonight's game 2 at the Oracle is only $420. Only, I say. Only $420, but point being, it's almost twice as less as what it's going to be for Game 3 tomorrow night in Washington. And part of this is just the opposite of what we just discussed, is Golden State and Cleveland, this is their 4th consecutive year in the NBA Finals. And so you have a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of diminishing marginal utility, as we economists would say. And so even though the prices are high by general fan standards, they are much less than what you're seeing for the NHL Finals, because Golden State's won 2 times in the last 3 years. Cleveland's won once. So it's not surprising. What's also interesting is if you look at these basketball prices, that games in Oakland are much more expensive than the ones in Cleveland, and that just shows you that the affluence of the local marketplace can have an impact, because obviously there's more money in the Bay Area than there is in Cleveland.
Right. Dr. Patrick Risch is our guest. He is a Forbes contributor and also the director of Sports Business Program at Washington University and the president of Sports Impacts. The other thing that I'm getting from this perhaps is this perhaps overall, because of the significant demand, more positive news for the National Hockey League in terms of growth and popularity and more dollars flowing into the business as we move forward?
Well, I don't know if you can say that, because again, and I'm a hockey guy. I love hockey. Grew up in northern New York, just south of the Canadian border, and went to high school with the assistant general manager of the Calgary Flames currently. So I grew up a big-time hockey guy. I would love to see the sport grow more in the States, but I think what's going on with these particular secondary prices is more a function of the specific markets that are in play. And as a corollary to that, we keep talking about Vegas being a tremendous story this year. I had an opportunity to speak with Kerry Bobles, the team president, a few weeks ago, interviewing him for a project that I'm working on. And let me tell you something. In 15 minutes, I felt like this guy gave me a 101 in sport management, because here's a guy who ironically came from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and in 15 minutes time just kind of laid out the 10 bullet points of these are the objectives that we have to satisfy to make a go of it and be successful off the ice. And boy, have they just absolutely just killed it off the ice this year, let alone what they've done on the ice. So it's really a testament for anybody in business to have an organized, structured approach to the way you run a business. The Vegas Golden Knights had that, and you see what's happened.
I'm not going to ask you to give us your whole piece before you put it together, but is part of what you learned from Vegas that regardless of how successful they are as a franchise in any given season, is they have to give people a reason to come to their building, to watch their team. They have to be entertaining. They have to be fun. They have to give them a reason. Some nights you're going to win, some nights you're going to lose, and especially if you're an expansion team, but the experience is a key part of that.
No question, and that was definitely one of the things that he listed, was talking about the game presentation, which, let's face it, they're in Vegas, and that they've got a lot of folks locally there that specialize in the entertainment business. So I think of all the things that Kerry laid out for me in that conversation, having the game presentation right is something that probably was the easiest thing for them to do. But again, a whole host of, and I can cover these real quickly, just obviously they had to convert those season ticket deposits into actual season ticket plans. They did that. Nailing down a local TV rights deal, doing that. Their sponsorship portfolio, they had to put that together. Finding a solid retail partner, finding a naming rights partner for their training center. All of these things were crucial. And then the last piece is, or one of the last pieces, is building local youth interest in hockey. Because as we know, if you can get people involved and interested in your sport at a young age, you're more likely to keep them as fans for the rest of their lives. And I think that they've done a very nice job of trying to bring the sport to the local market and to the youth community. Again, you look at the ticket sales, you look at the merchandise sales, and it's hard to say that they have not been anything short of spectacular off the ice this year.
I agree. I think they're a wonderful success story. Just before I let you go, Dr. Risch, there's one other question I have, is that this enormous first season for the Vegas Golden Knights, where there's real popularity for tickets and on the secondary market and trying to get to playoff games and Stanley Cup final games, if this team falls off next year, is that in some way a negative? I'm going back a couple of decades to the Florida Panthers coming in and having great success and then falling off the face of the map for 20 years. I don't see that same path being followed by the Vegas Golden Knights in terms of on-ice success, but is there a downside to having this sort of success in your opening season?
I mean, there potentially can be if fans have inflated expectations, and what you hope for is, and I don't know how much of this is in the control of the people that work in the public relations department for the team, but to simply say, hey, look, this has been a great season, but let's temper the expectations a little bit. Again, hard to do. The other thing that could make that interesting is, let's say they have the next couple of seasons are so-so seasons where they either don't make the playoffs or maybe they make it, but they're out in the first round. Then you've got the Vegas Raiders, who will be in the NFL, coming from Oakland in just a couple of seasons. So if you have a combination of the Golden Knights trending downward at that point, plus the NFL coming to town, that could have an added impact. So I think it is important that they at least remain competitive, continue to make the playoffs the next couple of seasons. That's a tall ask for a team that's brand new. But again, from what I have seen from the management that I've gotten to know, again, just a little backstory, they've hired 3 of my students at WashU and St. Louis as interns the last 2 summers. I know the people there. They're solid people. And again, as I've said, they're very structured and organized. So I have a lot of confidence that they're going to get things done the right way, regardless of how things go on the ice the next couple of years.
It's Dr. Patrick Risch. He is a Forbes contributor and also the director of sports and business programs at Washington University. Doctor, thank you for the time today. I really enjoyed it, and I hope we can have you back again soon.
Oh, please do. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of interesting information there, and the best part, there was no math involved by me or anyone else, which is good. It's just a lot of good information about the success of the Vegas Golden Knights and what their plan is going forward, which we're going to see more of in the years ahead. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Lots to get into before the hour is up. We'll talk more about game number 3, what we saw from Washington. A dominating performance. I really think that things are moving in their direction in a very quick manner. I think the series could be over very quickly now. I really think Washington took a big step in that direction. I know it's only 2-1. It's only 1 game advantage, yeah, but Washington has a way better team than Vegas, and that's part of it. We'll get into that before the hour is out. And also, Lyle Richardson will join us in our next segment, talk a little bit about what some of the other teams are getting ready for with the NHL draft, free agency, and possible trades coming up. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit NovaProductDesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
What a slamming show today. Really enjoying it. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, all powered by Primetime Radio. Don't forget to check out our podcasts as well through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, available through our website and on the Hockey Unfiltered app. We'll dive into a few other things from game number 3 of the Stanley Cup Final with the Vegas Golden Knights, Washington Capitals. Before the top of the hour, we'll look ahead a little bit to game number 4, which is fast approaching on Monday. Fallout Boy is the pregame entertainment. I'm pretty sure Pat Sajak isn't being asked back again to do any of the pregame stuff. I'm still hoping for game number 5. There's been no announcement yet. The Killers are from Vegas. How about the Killers? I'm good with that. Imagine Dragons were there. I just think it'd be a nice fit. I know their concert schedule doesn't conflict as well. In the meantime, with Vegas and Washington consumed with the Stanley Cup Final, there are also 29 other teams that are looking to make it there and play for the Cup next season. Lyle Richardson covers the latest on the NHL for Spector's Hockey and for Sporting News. You can follow him on Twitter at Spector's Hockey, and Lyle joins us now. Give me some first off impressions, Lyle, about what you thought of game number 3 last night between the Caps and Vegas. I thought it was all Washington, and I really think that the series has shifted in their direction dramatically.
I agree with that assessment. That was, I think, the worst game that I think I've seen the Golden Knights play in these playoffs. And not saying that they haven't had a bad game here or there, but the energy level just wasn't there compared to their previous games. And apart from Marc-Andre Fleury, who continues to be just outstanding, their best players simply have not been at their best, and that's kind of been trending, I've noticed, since game 2. You actually could kind of notice it at that point that some of their better guys like Jonathan Marchessault, guys like Alex Tuck, guys like James Neal, not really at their best, and they're going to need to pick it up if they're going to have any hope of rallying back and going on to complete the dream season with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, one of the great players for the Washington Capitals is defenseman John Carlson, and with every game, it seems like they are adding a 0 to his next potential contract. Is there a way he can come back with the Washington Capitals and make it fit under the salary structure with what they have on their roster?
I think that they can make it work. I mean, as you said, obviously his value just keeps going up here. If they're able to bring him in, obviously he says he wants to stay. They obviously want to re-sign him. They agreed before the playoffs to put off the contract talk until after the postseason was done. Right now they've got something like about $66 million invested in 19 players. Carlson, though, is really the only big core guy that they have to re-sign. You got some of the other guys like Devontae Smith-Pelly, Tom Wilson, even Michael Kempney, I would even throw his name out there. They need to be re-signed, but they can be done affordably. But yeah, Carlson, you're looking at probably about, I'd say, $8 million a season if he wants to stay, especially over it for 8 years. But, if they turn around and do something like, say, buy out Brooks Orpik, he's only got 1 year left on his contract. That would free up an additional $3 million for them as well. So it's possible. It would be a tight fit, but I think they'll try and find a way to make it work.
Oh yeah, how could they not with what he's brought to the team and what they get from having him? And I'm wondering how they approach the contract, though. Do you try to get it done really quickly because he is a UFA right now as of July 1st, but there's a bunch of other defensemen who are a year away, and if their contracts get done, they could probably have an impact on how John Carlson's deal shakes out, like Drew Doughty, Erik Karlsson, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, listen, I don't think it's going to take very long, once the playoffs are over here. Because, as you said, I mean, there is going to be that concern about what guys like Doughty and Carlson can get. Now, the one thing that works into the Capitals' advantage here, obviously, is those players cannot be signed until July 1st. The same as he, obviously, but the earliest that those other guys, even though they're a year away, the earliest they can be signed is July 1st. So, they won't necessarily have to worry about, say, somebody like Doughty getting signed on June 15th, say, for $10 million a season and that having an impact. But I do think, to your point, though, they're going to want to try and get him wrapped up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and if you're John Carlson, you're thinking, though, well, maybe I'm not in such a hurry to sign. I mean, he's going to get a giant deal wherever he goes next year.
Agreed, yeah. The one advantage, though, is obviously if he re-signs with the Capitals, he can get 8 years. And I think he's going to want to look at the facts. And I think that's going to have something to do with it. And let's face it, obviously, you're playing for a team that's a Cup finalist. And, heck, if they go on and win the bloody thing, I mean, that could just provide even more incentive on both sides to get a deal done. I would say you're probably looking at between $8 to $9 million a season for that to be done. Maybe they'll front load it a bit so that he gets, makes the bulk of the money on the front end, the front half of the deal. But I think they're going to get it done. I'll be very surprised if he actually ends up going to market.
I hope so. Lyle Richardson is our guest, talking NHL free agency trades and everything else that's going to be occurring in the offseason. Covers it for Spector's Hockey and Sporting News. At Spector's Hockey is how you follow him on Twitter. Okay, since we're talking a little bit about defensemen, how do you see the market for Drew Doughty, Erik Karlsson, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson playing out? Those are three really good defensemen. Drew Doughty has said the right things, that he'd like to stay in LA. Apparently, there have been a few conversations. Erik Karlsson is the big wild card. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, again, apparently some discussions, but nothing to announce or resolved yet. Maybe when one domino falls, the rest do pretty quickly.
Well, that could be the case, but of the three that you mentioned, honestly, the guy that I think would be most likely to move would be Karlsson. Just simply because of the fact, now I know all three of these guys have all said that, as you pointed out, they've all said the right things to the media. Oh, we want to stay. We love where we are. Blah blah blah. My kids love this place. Whatever. But I mean, there are certain different factors going on here, and in the case of Ottawa, I mean, boy, oh boy, did everything just fall apart this season, just in the worst way. And given the all that uncertainty with what's going on first with ownership, I mean, we've got Eugene Melnyk bad mouthing everybody in sight. It seems a heck of a way to sell your team, Eugene, by the way. But with that going on, and just the way, again, how quickly things fell apart this past season, that casts a pall, I think, over Karlsson's future with that team. Whereas with the Kings and Drew Doughty, I mean, yeah, Doughty has basically said, look, on no hometown discount for me, pay me. But the rumors that we're hearing now, I mean, Nick Kypreos was saying last night on Sportsnet that the talk is that the two sides are talking and that he may be looking at somewhere around $10.5 million a season. If that's what he wants, the Kings will pay it. They won't go like well over $11 million to keep this guy, but if he's looking for $10.5 million or even $10 million a season, which is more than what PK Subban is making, which is what he has said, Doughty has said he wants to make more than Subban. If he gets that, he stays. And in the terms of Ekman-Larsson, I mean, we all assume that, well, he's been playing with this lousy team for all these years. He wants to leave. But, he and his family genuinely do love living and playing in Arizona. And, again, he's going to want to get a lot of money to do so. The rumor is that they're looking at 8 years and $8 million a season. And that's sort of what he's sitting on right now. But, I think if he's really keen to stay and he gets that extra year, maybe if they can nudge it up a little higher, closer to 9, I think he stays put. So of those three, I think Karlsson could be the more likely to go. And if it looks like in the first couple of weeks of July they can't get anything hammered out, I would not be surprised at all to see his name pop up big time in the rumor mill.
I mostly agree with you. I think Karlsson, the ball is in Karlsson's court. He has a year left. He can leave as an unrestricted free agent after that. The discussions are going to start. The discussions are going to happen. And if he feels he can make a lot of money, as he will in Ottawa, but also have the right team around him to have the opportunity to win, he's interested in staying. If that doesn't present itself, whether they become a budget team or there's a long rebuild ahead, as seems to be the case with Ottawa, and he decides, well, that's it, I'm going to get out of here, then they will move him. I mean, that's just common sense to see. A player is the one that's going to have the control in this case.
Absolutely, and those points that you raise about, are they going to be a budget team? Are they going to be engaging in a long rebuild here? Because let's face it, I mean, he came, last year he came within an overtime period of getting to the Stanley Cup final for the first time. He's competitive as hell. He wants to get back to that position again where he can challenge for the cup. But I don't think he's going to be keen to do that if he's going to be sitting here looking at the next 3 to 4 years, which are part of his prime years, playing for a team that's just going to be rebuilding again, and one that's, for whatever reason, isn't going to invest enough to build that team around him. So that's why, I think that all of that is going to be they're going to be significant contributing factors to determining, if he ends up hitting the trade block this summer.
The other fascinating story to watch is going to be John Tavares, who will be an unrestricted free agent as of July 1st. He is in line for a ginormous contract. The other interesting factor, or one of them that has come into play over the last little while, Lou Lamoriello has left the Maple Leafs. He is now the president of hockey operations, or whatever the title is. But I think that is an enormous move by the Islanders, and I think certainly allows now for the possibility, certainly an increased possibility, that John Tavares re-signs with the New York Islanders. Despite what I've heard from others, I don't believe he has a determination in where he wants to go or what he wants to do. I think he said, yes, ideally he'd like to stay and have things work out here. But I think that this is Steve Stamkos 2.0. He's going to look and listen and examine the opportunities ahead and make the best choice for himself and his family.
Exactly. And, it's going to be very interesting to see what Lou Lamoriello does in the few weeks here that are going to be coming up, leading up to July 1st and his eligibility for free agency, because, Lamoriello is not going to be interested in doing a lengthy rebuild here with youth and prospects and draft picks. He's going to want to boost this team up right now. And I think in the next 3 weeks, we're going to see some moves, some trades made that are going to be geared towards convincing Tavares to stay with the Islanders. And, as you said, again, I believe, it's like, as you do, that he's going to take his time, that he's going to go right up to, the due date to evaluate everything, to look at what his options are out there. But if Lamoriello makes 2 or 3 significant moves here over the next 3 weeks, that can show him, look, we're all in. We want to turn this thing around right now, and we want you as the centerpiece. That, I think, will go a long way to tip things in the Islanders' favor. Bringing Lamoriello in as let's face it, he really is going to be the de facto general manager here. Bringing him into that role, with him having a say in what's going on with the Islanders, that was a significant move because I was like a lot of people. I was starting to think that, it looks like Tavares is going to go. This kind of brings it back, Lamoriello being in charge of hockey operations, to 50-50, that Tavares stays now. And as I said, whatever moves he makes in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they could go a long way to moving that needle closer to him staying.
No question. Lyle Richardson from Spector's Hockey and Sporting News, at Spector's Hockey, to follow him on Twitter. Thanks for this, Lyle. Appreciate it. Good discussion.
It was my pleasure. Take care now.
Thank you. Lyle Richardson, I just think that John Tavares doesn't know what he's going to do next year. He's finished this year, and now he's going to assess his options. And why wouldn't he? He's by far going to be the top free agent available. He can write his own ticket, put in a number on the contract for amount per year. That's what he can do. He's going to get an awful lot of money. He's the one who's going to decide where it is. It's up to the teams to show that they have a plan to execute going forward. Likes playing with the Islanders, has a comfort level with the organization, all things being equal. Yeah, maybe we can stay if there's a plan that he can win I think there's a much greater chance of that happening now with Lou Lamoriello on board. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Show is screaming by today. A couple of more things I wanted to touch on from game number 3 last night on Saturday. I think this is really moving quickly in favor of the Washington Capitals going forward. They hold a 2-1 series lead. I know lots of people don't want to hear it. I'm going to say it again. I think the series could end really quickly. I think it could be now a 5-game series with Washington winning the next 2. I'm not saying it's not a prediction that's going to happen, but I'm saying from what I have seen so far from these two teams, I think it's a very realistic possibility. We'll dive into that and as much as we can squeeze in our final segment. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Final segment of our Sunday program. We'll be back again next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, all powered by Primetime Radio. Don't forget, you can check out our podcasts as well through our website, subscribe through iTunes and iHeartRadio, and of course, also available on the Hockey Unfiltered app. It's our little Saturday podcast is all part of that as well. A little Wednesday midweek podcast, but a weekend in the middle of the week, so we call it the Little Saturday Podcast. And we'll have a few things to say after game number 4 and leading up to game number 5. Will it be the elimination game? After what I saw in game number 3, sure looks very likely. Caps players were playing better than Vegas on Saturday night. Vegas played their worst game of the postseason. A lot of the Vegas Golden Knights did not seem to be prepared. The superior talent of Alex Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, Evgeny Kuznetsov, John Carlson, Braden Holtby, among others, was evident in the game. Marc-Andre Fleury played well, had to. The only reason that the score was as close as it was. I don't know. I saw a lot of good in Washington on Saturday, and I didn't see very much with Vegas. Oh, but they've bounced back before. They've recovered when they've been down before in a series. Look at Winnipeg. They lost the first game and then won the next 4. Yeah. But Vegas has lost back-to-back games and haven't been able to play the way we have seen Vegas play through the postseason, even going back as far as the regular season. This is a superior roster in Washington, and they've been able to perform at an elite level, and Vegas has no answer. I watched Gerard Gallant's presser afterwards. The obligatory come in and sit down at the table and take questions from the stupid media that ask the stupid questions. I listened to Gerard Gallant, and I don't believe a word he said. He's going to win Coach of the Year. Nobody's going to say a bad word about Gerard Gallant. I don't believe a word he said at the post-game presser, and part of it was because of those stupid questions. Like the one, do you classify Game 4 as a must-win? That's a direct question. And I'm sure Gerard Gallant wanted to look at him and say, what are you, a dumbass? Shut up. Of course it is a must-win. But Gerard Gallant was polite and said, they're all must-win. What a stupid question. Gallant said Vegas was more competitive in game number 3. They had more chances than they did in game number 2. Caps played better, but it was close. It was a 1-goal game into the third period. I'm paraphrasing. He was putting an awfully positive spin on that pile of stuff. Yeah, okay, technically it was. It was a 1-goal game for a while in the third period. But that is only because you were gifted a goal by Braden Holtby. If you were with us on our program yesterday, I thought about and talked about maybe Gerard Gallant injects some new players into the lineup, does a little shuffling, not mixing up the lines, but taking a few guys out, putting a few other guys in. He's done it in previous series. I think it's inevitable that happens in Game 4. That has to happen in game number 4. Thomas Tatar's got to go in. You're not getting any offense currently. Very few chances, a total of 22 shots on goal. That's not good enough. Yeah, you had a whole bunch of them blocked, but you missed the net on so many others. James Neal, 0 shots on goal. Riley Smith, 0 shots on goal. 2-on-1, the puck's fed right to him. Misses it completely. Doesn't get a shot on goal. William Karlsson, 0 shots on goal. Richardson and Tuck had 4 shots each. Okay, that's great, but it was only 14 shots total by the forwards. That's not good enough. Vegas hasn't been able to play well enough. Alex Ovechkin is warming and embracing the role of the lovable veteran that hasn't yet won a cup, and fans are eating it up, relishing his genuine enthusiasm. If you were with us earlier today, you heard Dan Rosen from NHL.com saying he has never seen Alex Ovechkin more engaged. He's playing in his first Stanley Cup final. He is enjoying it. He is enthusiastic, and he is loving it when he scores a goal, as he did on the game opener on Saturday night, and when his teammates score a goal, or when Braden Holtby makes a save. It's something he's done for his whole career, but now he's getting a little more recognition for it and a little more understanding for his displays of enthusiasm. I just don't think Vegas has an answer. Caps have the top 2 scorers in the playoffs. Sure, they've played a few more games than Vegas. But Vegas just doesn't have the necessary weapons to do battle with a team that has the superior firepower. Jonathan Marchessault is the leading scorer on the Vegas Golden Knights. He's got 8 goals. William Karlsson is next. He's got 7. Kuznetsov and Alex Ovechkin are the top 2 scorers in the postseason. Ovechkin's got 14 goals, and Kuznetsov has 12. And he leads the NHL in playoff scoring. You know, we'll get to the discussion probably about the MVP. I'm giving it to Kuznetsov right now. I know Ovi's the lovable veteran, and he probably wins it just because he's the more popular player. If Washington goes on to win, I'm giving it to Kuznetsov. Because, yeah, he left game number 2 early, but he probably would have continued that point streak. But Vegas just, there was not the effort that we have seen. There was frustration. They weren't allowed to do some of the things that have made them successful, but there also wasn't the 100% effort that has made Vegas successful through the regular season and through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. 14 shots on goal. Right from the start, Vegas looked sluggish. Riley Smith whiffs on that chance. Ryan Reeves, what he's doing on the ice in the final minute of play in a game when you're desperate, looking for a goal, hoping maybe you get within 1 in the final minute. I don't know. It's because they don't have any other answers. I think this can be a 5-game series now. Yeah, I know that they'll have to go back to Vegas and win in Game 5. I think it can be a 5-game series now. I saw Washington take a big leap in game number 3, and I don't think Vegas has got anything to match them. We'll watch game number 4. We'll look ahead to game number 5, and I'm not sure that we're going to get to game number 6 scheduled for a week for today. But we'll be back next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Don't forget our little Saturday podcast coming up on Wednesday. Our thanks to Lyle Richardson, to Dr. Patrick Risch, to Kyle Bukauskas, to Corey Kirsch, to Brian Lawton, and Dan Rosen, all for joining us on the program. Have a great week of hockey, and back with you again next Saturday and Sunday.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.